Hi folks, it's Andy. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome to this week's Kendo Rant. Okay, so we've got some fantastic questions for you today. There's a good group of them, actually, so we'll jump right into those in just a moment. However, before we do, don't forget, all the YouTube stuff, like, share, subscribe, all that sort of thing. Most importantly, after you hit subscribe, there's a little bell that appears. That's the Kendo bell that makes you start getting better at Kendo as soon as you ring it. Scientific fact, so ring the Kendo bell. However, if you really want to support the channel, if you really like these videos that come to you free every week, and even more often sometimes, because I've got more coming soon. I've got more instructional videos. I've got more analysis videos, and obviously Kendo Rant as well. If you do like these videos, you support us by shopping at KendoStar. It's win-win, because KendoStar is amazing, brilliant, fantastic, the best Kendo equipment in the universe. Of course, I'd say that because I own the place. But if you don't believe me, check out our Trustpilot rating. You'll find we're the highest rated on there. There's probably people in your dojo right now using our stuff that are super happy with it. And yeah. Also, quick one actually on that. I don't really plug products particularly, but this is my Vanguard Praetor. I've been using it for like 4 years now. I absolutely love it. So good, so good. It's a beautiful, amazing bogu set, and it's on sale right now at like 50% off, because we got an amazing deal with our workshop on the materials for it, which are like the highest quality materials. It's ending at the end of this month, so if you're watching this in the future, sucks to be you, but it's like a really awesome deal on a really amazing bogu. Takes a while to make though, because it's super handmade. Well, it's all like super brilliant materials and all that, and takes ages for craftsmanship. So you got to be patient with us on it, but it's definitely worth the wait. So yeah, check that out. The Vanguard Praetor, half price until the end of this month. Then it's going away. It's been on that offer now for like 2 or 3 months. Been a super popular offer. But it is going away. I can confirm it is going away at the end of this month. I've really stretched the workshop as far as I can on the on that deal. So anyway, enough salesmanship. I'm not joking though. You really should go and check that out. Hi Andy, I just received a wonderful bogu from KendoStar. Thank you very much. However, given my current situation, I won't be able to use it for a while. I was wondering if you have any recommendations on the topic of how to take good care of bogu that's not being used. Should I put it in the bag? Is it better outside of it? Thanks a lot for your answer. So, as long as it's fully dry, all right, as long as it's fully dry, you can store it in the bag, but make sure it's in a dry place, all right? Don't leave it anywhere where it could be humid or get damp. And probably every so often take it out and just check that everything in there's all right, and that there's no signs of it, kind of gathering any moisture in there. If moisture gets in there, it's going to mold, all right, and that's not ideal. So what you want to do, you can store it in the bag, because I know space can be an issue. You can store it in the bag, and then maybe give it like a week in the bag. Check it after a week. If everything looks okay, give it another week. If it's still okay after that, it should be all right. And then just check it every few weeks, just to make sure everything's okay in there. And I'm sure you won't have a problem with it. Most of the materials, it depends on which bogu you got. If it's a Vanguard Praetor, like I was just showing you, then definitely you'll need to sort of just keep an eye on it, because the materials are all natural. But if it's like a original Vanguard, they're a little bit sort of lower maintenance, because a lot of the materials are synthetic, so should be all right. But like I say, just don't let it get exposed to extreme temperatures. Don't let it get exposed to too much humidity, and you'll be all right. After recently coming back to dojo training, I've discovered that the hakama himo has shortened. There's barely enough to tie a knot. Similar stuff is happening with tari himo. Please advise how to stop these himo from shrinking. I know the pain. I know my door shrunk. All of them shrunk all at the same time. I can't believe it. What a strange and unbelievable coincidence. However, I have found since getting back into the dojo that they've expanded once again, and it seems to be proportional to the amount of kakari geiko and kirikaishi that I do. And it was even sped up by a few visits to the gym. Very strange. Give it a try. I hope it works out for you. Okay, I know this is sacrilege, but due to the pandemic, we've been forced to practice in an area that requires us to wear shoes. Any suggestions on how to best maintain proper form under these conditions? It's very difficult, of course, all right? It does happen, though. It's not really sacrilege. There's times in Japan where people have to practice with shoes on. They're rare, admittedly, but sometimes there's like shiai outside and stuff. Where people have to wear shoes, but it's obviously not ideal, especially if you're still starting out and still getting the grips of footwork. So, I mean, all you got to do is try and do the best that you can with what you've got. If it's on carpet, then I showed a trick in my Suburi Along video where I put some tape on the bottom of my shoes to help them slide. But that won't work on concrete, so don't do that on concrete. So yeah, you're gonna just have to try and wing it, for want of a better term, and just do your best with what you've got until you can get into a position where you can get on a proper floor again. If it's like it depends why it is that you're wearing shoes. If it's because the floor's hard, but you could still practice barefoot, then practice barefoot instead of wearing the shoes, but don't do fumikomi, just practice Suriashi. If it's you're wearing shoes because the floor is uneven, or like it's outside and concrete, it's dirty and stuff like that, well then that's kind of tough looking at it. There's not a lot you can do about it. And like I say, you're just going to have to try and make the best of what you've got, until you can get into a better position. Sorry, I can't give a better answer to that. Hi Andy, I spend a lot of time on different sword groups on social media. I feel like the most common criticism I hear about Kendo from practitioners of other styles is that it's too focused on scoring points. How would I respond to that? How would I respond to that? I wouldn't respond to it, frankly, because I don't really care about the opinion of someone, like someone's opinion on Kendo that doesn't do Kendo, unless they're interested in Kendo. It's an understandable criticism, if that's the right word, from practitioners of other activities that involve swords, because I guess that's what Kendo looks like to people on the outside, which is fine. But Kendo's not sword fighting, so they're sort of comparing apples with oranges. So if I really got into that discussion, I just, my response would simply be, well, Kendo's not really focused on scoring points, and it's not focused on sword fighting either, so it's not really comparable. And I'd probably just leave it at that, and if they responded, I'd probably just ignore it. Because I'm not, I'm very much, as you can probably tell, committed to promoting Kendo, and I'm very much committed to increasing the practice of Kendo. What I'm not interested in doing is arguing people online about if Kendo is better than other martial arts or the sword arts, or not even better, if even it's comparable. I'm not interested in doing that. If someone's interested in Kendo, then I'll help them as much as I can to understand what Kendo is and how it can benefit them. But I'm not looking to convince somebody that's in the first place come to Kendo, not even come to Kendo, but is in a way attacking Kendo for being too focused on points or too sporty or whatever. Because they just don't understand what they're looking at. So yeah, I'd mainly just leave it. I wouldn't even get drawn into that sort of discussion. But if someone comes to me and said, "Look, I'm really interested in Kendo, but I'm a bit concerned that it's too focused on scoring points," I guess then I'd open a different dialogue and say, "Well, what makes you say that? And why does that concern you?" And maybe talk to them about how, yeah, the concept of yuko datotsu, which is a valid strike, is a key, one of the most important concepts in Kendo indeed, but it's not an activity of just hitting and scoring points, but at the same time, it's not an activity of learning how to win sword fights. So if you're looking for an activity that's specifically going to help you become better in your sword fights, maybe if you do like, what is it, himo is it called? You know, if you're looking for something that you can kind of take bits from and then go and use in something else, it's probably not the right thing for you. But if, you know, if you've got an open mind, then give it a try, and you might find something in it that you weren't expecting to find. I think that's the sort of tack that I'd take. Hi Sensei, as a Latin American, getting a bogu is really expensive with current exchanges and taxes. Luckily, we have a few sets of bogus to borrow. The issue is that the ones I normally, the one that I use normally has really big men, and I can't seem to fit it properly. Is there anything I can do with it? Thank you for the amazing videos. Oh, I'm glad you like the videos. It's difficult. You can pad it out with some tenugui or like a removable men pad. You know, you can put tenugui on the chin and on the top. It's never going to be perfect. You know, and I wouldn't recommend it for extended periods. The bogu's there to protect your head, which is quite important. So it's quite important that you have one that fits you properly and protects you properly. I know it's expensive. I appreciate that. I really do. But you know, this is it's a question of safety as well. So there are workarounds, certainly in the temporary, you know, it's sort of temporary way. You can, like I say, get a couple of tenugui, put them on the bottom. You can put them on the top of your head as well, and pad it out that way. Or like I say, you can use the removable pads, which are obviously a lot cheaper. If you can manage to get hold of one of those, then I think you'll have a much easier time. Okay, next one. Okay, sorry, this is spanning the page break. I recently was exposed to a move in Jigeko which rattled me quite badly. Oh dear. From Super Zeri, my opponent suddenly lifted his sword and used his lower hand to punch the side of my head quite hard. Okay. Our dojo practices a relatively balanced Kendo, grading and non-shiai, and we're not particularly shiai focused. As I am told my opponent had practiced in the past, I am first Q and have yet to compete in a real shiai. Have to ask, is it a legal move? And if so, how prevalent is it in shiai? Should I expect it from anyone at any time? And what's a good way to counter or punish such a move? Another aspect I'd like to ask about, I was extremely and deeply agitated at the time and actually broke my voice with the intensity of the kiai as I went for doi bomb. Even though the point was solid, I'm very embarrassed to have reacted that way and was wondering if you have any advice regarding how to remain calm in such circumstances and in general sparring shiai, I suppose. Okay, so let me get this right. You're in Super Zeri. Your opponent lifts his shinai and he's used his lower hand, so his left hand, to punch the side of your head quite hard. Okay, so step one, you need to improve your Super Zeri, right? It's possible and it's probable that your opponent didn't intend to actually hit you in the head. They shouldn't be able to hit you in the head, all right? The likelihood is that one, your hands in your Super Zeri are too close to your body, and two, your hands are probably too high because they shouldn't be near your face. He was probably trying to punch your kote, because that is a sort of legit move where you're in Super Zeri and you can use your left hand to move there. You hit the right kobushi of their kote like this to disturb their Super Zeri so you can make the strike. He was probably trying something like that. But if you're sort of like this, then yeah, it's possible he could hit you in the head, especially if he's not very good. So, look, he shouldn't be able to reach your head with his left hand if he keeps both hands on his shinai from Super Zeri, right? There shouldn't be enough room, all right? Because you should keep a gap here, all right? When you're doing your tsubazari, this gap, this space here is important. Your tsubazari, the position from chudan and tsubazari is similar, all right? Similar, just the angle of the sword is a bit different, all right? And you're locked against the tsuba. It's not straight, it's not fist to fist. The tsubas are together, and you keep the space, okay, between your arms that you have in chudan, okay? So you should be a good distance away from them. Yeah, you shouldn't be. Of course, there's times when you get closer to do a waza, but you know, beginners tend to do tsubazari with their hands very close to their body and too high. And I'm sure that's what's happened here, because your hands should be lower as well. So there should be no way for him to effectively be able to punch your face. Having said that, right, it's not an specifically illegal move to do that, especially as it'd be rough to determine if it was definitely on purpose or not. But it's not a particularly effective one either. But there are lots of tricks that very competitive players do use in tsubazari that do involve sometimes strikes to the men, to the front of the men with the shinai as they move, sort of kuzushi, sometimes on the shoulder, that do exist, and you have to be aware of. So you can't switch off in tsubazari either. It is still combat at that point. So that's the thing I'd say there. All right, is that probably you need to sharpen up the tsubazari. All right, that's going to be the best way to prevent something like that. And what you're going to find is once you start to care more about the space between your hands and your body in tsubazari, you're going to find hikiwaza an awful lot easier, because you can't do hikiwaza like this. It's one of the things that beginners struggle the most with hikiwaza, is like they try to do it like this and they haven't got the space to do it, because they've just abandoned this space that's required between the hands and the body. So yeah. Look, about the controlling your emotions when something like that happens, it is difficult, especially when somebody does something that's painful or agitates you. That's kind of part of the point of it, isn't it? You've just got to try and keep control and make sure that you're in the driving seat of what's happening with your actions, and don't get yourself carried away, even if something happens that wasn't necessarily either what you were expecting or even something that was upsetting. So you got to practice that. All right, it's going to happen. Sometimes someone's going to whack you on the elbow and shout "do" or "kode" or something like that, or they're just going to do some crazy weird stuff, because unfortunately that's the world we live in. And you just got to kind of try to keep relaxed and not let that disturb your keiko. It's difficult. I get it though, but at least you got the good doipon, eh? Next one. Hi Andy, what are your thoughts on taking promotion tests in Japan as opposed to your home country or country of residence? Just starting to consider my options as I ready myself for that phase of my kendo life. I guess you have to ask yourself, what are your reasons for wanting to take it in Japan? I think there's no particular advantage to taking it in Japan. It's not worth anymore. It's worth the same. It can often just be harder for you, especially if you don't understand Japanese. So you're kind of putting barriers in front of yourself that don't need to be there. So I've taken grade-ins in Japan. I've taken them in the UK where I'm from. I'm now taking them in France as well. So it's up to you. If you want to do it, do. But I wouldn't say there's any particular benefit. I mean, if you happen to be visiting Japan, obviously it depends as well. If you're talking about a higher grade, a lot of countries, you can't do higher grades at. You can't do 6th Dan and 7th Dan in a lot of countries. They have to be done often by sort of not even national federations, but like it's not even like, what do you call it? Like the European Federation in Europe. If you want to do I'm pretty sure if you want to do 6th or 7th Dan in Europe, you have to do it at a European Kendo Federation grading, of which there's only a limited number of opportunities, and they're in different countries each time. So, not each time. There's ones that happen every year, of course, in the same place. But you know what I mean. So, you know, if you're talking like 3rd Dan and below, unless it's a good reason, I'd probably just take it in your home country because it's going to be easier for you. If you want to have like an experience of doing the grading in Japan, then fine, that's different. But like, don't forget that doing your grading in your home country is supporting your federation. Gradings are a method of income for Kendo federations, which is important. It's not a bad thing. It's not a taboo thing, which some people sometimes seem to treat it as that's what it is. But federations require a revenue stream in order to exist, and then provide you with the ability to practice Kendo in your country. So it's important that you do support them when you can also. So there's that to bear in mind. But yeah, cutting to the chase though, I mean, like I say, if you're taking like 3rd Dan, like, it's not that your 3rd Dan's worth more if you got it in Japan. In fact, I'd argue that some of the lower grades are probably easier to get in Japan than they are in a lot of non-Japanese countries. Certainly in my experience. So yeah, especially kata. Anyway, that's a can of worms we'll leave alone for now. Hi Andy, hope you're well. I was wondering if you had any tips on ways to improve your Kendo while sitting and driving safely, of course. Thank you. Yeah, you can, before you start driving, like, go to the Kendo show, put YouTube on YouTube, put on a Kendo rant, and sit and listen to it through your car's entertainment system. You don't need to look at my face while I'm talking, for the most part. You can just, don't look at me. Keep your eyes on the road. And if you listen to it now, just concentrate on the road more than you are on my voice. But listen to this, and that's about it. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding, actually. I'm serious about it. But there's other stuff you could do. You could, like, you can think about Kendo a bit. Think about what Kendoka you like, what kind of Kendo you like to do, and this sort of thing. But otherwise, there's not a lot more that you can do. You certainly can't practice anything physical, so yeah. And don't mess around on your phone looking for my videos whilst you're on the road driving like this either. Don't do that, right? Don't do that. Hi Andy, Kendo is meant to improve you as a person, but in the years since I've started Kendo, I'm uncertain if I've actually improved as a person. My Kendo technique has improved, my ability to execute specific movements is improved, good, and my knowledge of Kendo specific things has increased, but I struggle to see if I've actually improved as a person. What do you think is a good marker of personal growth outside of the dojo? Thanks. So this is a really interesting question. I like it. That's why I'm laughing. I like the question. I think it's a really good one. Look, Kendo does exist to improve you as a person, but of course, there's no sort of objective standard as to what a good person is there? Right? Everyone's got different opinions of that, especially in recent years, you have to make that judgment for yourself. It's like a lot of things in Kendo. It's not. It's not necessarily that there's a specific objective marker. Okay, right, you're a good person. You know, I don't know. I'm not going to start whipping out examples of what a good person is, because that's asking for trouble. But you can't have a sort of marker outside of the dojo for that. You have to kind of judge that for yourself and act upon your own conscience. And hopefully Kendo will help you do that. It'll help you understand the situations you find yourself in better in your daily life, in difficult times, help you overcome them. When you face difficult decisions, when you have to make quick decisions that could have big consequences, or when you have to care for other people, or think about other people, or organize other people. All these things are things that Kendo is designed to help with. It's not an automatic process though, so it doesn't mean that by doing Kendo you automatically become a saint. So we're all humans, right? So we all have difficulties in our lives, things that we struggle with, and Kendo's one of them. But it's also one of the things that's there to help us. So there isn't a good marker of personal growth. But you know, I think the best thing I would say is you have to act in good conscience, do what you believe is right, act in a way that you would like other people to act, or how you would like other people to emulate your behavior, and don't do things that you think you'll regret later. And you know, go from there, I guess. Yeah. Hi Andy, my son is 17 and I'm 47 and just taken up Kendo. Fantastic, well, welcome to it. Any suggestions on the best practice regime for the two of us between our weekly Kendo lessons? Love the beginner to Shodan series. Good, I'm glad you like the series. Keep watching it. And you can basically follow along with a lot of that at home. Yeah, you can follow along with that. You can follow along with if you can get YouTube up on your television or something. Follow along with the Zero to Shodan stuff. You can follow along with the Suburia long video that I did, Suburia long, not the hard mode, just the standard one. And then also back in the sort of lockdown, I did a couple of online live Zoom lessons, or keikos. So you could, and they're up on YouTube, so you could go back and follow along with them. And then the other thing you could do is just try to practice what you learned at your class at home together. And what you can try to help each other as well. And discuss with each other, watch each other. Okay, I'm going to try the mensuburi, and one of you watch the other, and then sort of say, okay, yeah, I think Sensei said more like this or more like that. I don't know. And if you're unsure, then revert to one of the videos that I've put, and you can sort of use that as a starting point. It's not a perfect example, don't get me wrong. There's even things now that I look back on those videos and wish I could just go back and correct. But you know, from a beginner's point of view, they're perfectly fine as a sort of standard starting point. So there's plenty of things you can do all of that stuff, and if you do, you'll definitely see the benefits of it in your weekly classes. All right, okay, last one. This is a bit of a big one, so let's get through this one and then we're all done for today. Hi Andy, thank you for all you do with KendoStar. No, thank you very much for supporting us. Being a beginner, I'm ashamed to admit this, but I really don't like hitting regular door strikes at all. Nothing to be ashamed of. Of course, I practice them in Kihon and Jigeko, but my movement is so awkward, and the crossing of the arms during the strike really makes the movement complicated, and rarely can I score it. However, I'm a big fan of Gyaku-Do and love practicing it in shiai and Jigeko. Okay. My question is that should a beginner learn Gyaku-Do and use it freely against all sorts of Kenshi, or is it more frowned upon? I'm afraid to offend unfamiliar Kenshi with the Gyaku-Do and have them absolutely stomp me in Jigeko. Also, in the Gyaku-Do Zanshin, where people run away from the opponent, do you have to keep eye contact 100% of the time as we make the distance, or is it eye contact needed only after we completed the distance? Thank you so much. Okay, right. I need to be careful how I answer this one. So, you're a beginner. You don't like doing Do. You like doing Gyaku-Do. Okay, right. You don't like doing do because you're not very good at it, because you're a beginner and you still not got used to the movements of it. Probably your arms are too stiff. Probably you don't have enough flexibility in your wrists. All right? That is a reason to do it more, not less. Okay? It's a reason to do it more and not less. You're quite happy with the Gyaku-Do, but you're not happy with your normal Migi-Do. So, do the Migi-Do more. Okay? Until you can do it right. It's not the other way around. Okay? You don't get better at Kendo by scoring more points. Okay? You get better at Kendo by repeating things that you're not very good at. And look, no, it's not like, I mean, some people wouldn't be that happy if like a beginner, like if you're like an obvious beginner and you whip out Gyaku-Do, most senior Kendoka are going to say you're hitting the wrong side. Because they're going to assume that you don't really know what Gyaku-Do is, because most people would assume that you know how to do the normal do before you learn how to do Gyaku-Do. And it's not wrong, you know, that you should do Gyaku-Do. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. But look, I'm kind of interested with your phrase. You're afraid to offend an unfamiliar Kenshi with Gyaku-Do and then have him absolutely stomp you. I'm not sure what you're afraid of. Like, to be honest. I mean, they're not going to hurt you. They shouldn't hurt you. But if they're senior to you, then it should be a given that if they want to stomp you, they can stomp you. But that doesn't necessarily, that, you know, you shouldn't be trying to beat them anyway. You should be trying to improve your Kendo, especially at this point in your career. So, you know, if you're worried about it, don't do it. Honestly, my advice is, look, if you, like, going back to what I said before, if you don't feel comfortable with your normal do strikes, then you need to practice them more, and then just ditch the Gyaku-Do for now and keep working on your regular do strikes, and most importantly your men's strikes, right? Because that's the main thing that you need until you're like 5th dan. So I said main, not only, all right? Before you start going nuts down there in the comments. About the zanshin for Gyaku-Do, where you see a lot where people hit and they run away by turning the back. Yeah, it's wrong to do that. Don't do it. You have to keep 100% eye contact. All right? Don't start sending me links of high school kids doing it and then turning the back and getting ippon and saying, oh, well, why is this ippon then? You say I've got to do 100%. You do have to do 100%, all right? You're a beginner, all right? So you're not allowed to run away, all right? When you get to 3rd dan or 4th dan, well, 3rd dan, like those high school kids, and you move like those high school kids, we might give you a little bit of a pass if you lose eye contact for a minute, but that isn't where you're at, so let's not worry about that. You need to keep eye contact. There's no reason to turn your back away on them, all right? It is bad when the high school kids do that. It's just when the referee is judging the quality of their strike, you have like 0 and 100% perfect strike, and like for adults they give anything that's around like over 70% usually, and for high school kids it's like over 60%. So yeah, don't worry about that. Do not turn your back after hitting Gyaku-Do, okay? But for the time being, shelve the Gyaku-Do, work on your Migi-Do and your men's strikes, okay? That's it. I know it's quite direct in that, but I don't want to give you the wrong idea, right? That's why I'm not, you know, that's why I want to be clear on it for you, okay? Because I want the best for you, all right? I want the best for you. That's it. Fantastic questions today. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Don't miss that offer on the Praetor bogu. If it is the sort of thing that you're looking for right now, if you're in the market for a bogu, or you think you will be soon. Don't forget, it takes us a while to make it. So, you know, you need to be looking to the future. It's a great chance. Don't miss that one. Shop at KendoStar. I'll see you all next time. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye-bye.